What is going on, guys? It is Laser here with another weekend video analysis. It is noon. Usually it's about the normal time that I try and drop these videos here. And I'm here to try to drop my analysis, and we're going to talk about some long-term projections. You can actually see me kind of adjust right now this parallel channel, which we're going to talk about. We're going to dive into the smaller time frames. We're going to talk about some new updates that took place towards Friday afternoon. The analysis that I made a tweet on Friday afternoon saying that the price is still below I said right here, velocity did form a high. I said the Friday afternoon, what did I say? Is still below the original trend line. It actually broke above that towards the end of the day. I guess right after I tweeted that, it broke above that, of course, which makes things in my mind extremely bullish. But I want to spend some time talking about this. So just remember this. We're going to come right back to that. But let's go ahead and dive into the hourly chart, because this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to snipe the bottom because we believe the bottom is very close. And the reason why we believe the bottom is really close is timing and cycles. So if you've missed my previous tweet and this is the very first video that you're watching and you're not familiar with it, I made a tweet on December 22nd, which is a couple weeks ago, highlighting since IPO, all the breakdowns. Now, I didn't include this breakdown in particular because it was part of an uptrend, and it was an anomaly. I think it was like 1, 2, 3, 4. It was like 5 bars. That was the only time I didn't really include it because it was kind of in an uptrend. But every other breakdown, which was 11 of them since the IPO, 45% took 98 days, which was essentially 3 months. 45% took 4 months, and there was like the rare 5.5 months. And if I were to draw that line here, it would technically fall within to like a 3-month downtrend if I drew it here, but I wanted to be fair. And you can see I put dates. So we're within this window here now where I believe the bottom is in. So that's one reason why I'm very, 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 very bullish on an up and coming run. There's another reason. Take a look at the 24-hour time frame. So bullish. I'll tell you all the bullish things that I'm looking at here. And for someone new who's just tuning in here, this is my custom indicator. It measures the velocity of the price action, how fast the price is moving. You can actually see here, I'm pointing out the L lines. We have a higher low. We have a higher high. This is the 24-hour time frame. And you can see here, it's forming a potential higher low. And one of the things that I've been watching here, this was its first higher low. So let's clear this off for a second. We'll just delete that. On the 24-hour time frame, you can see that's kind of like an uptrend right now, right? Ooh, wrong color. I should probably use yellow. You can see it's forming like this uptrend. Actually, yellow. I don't like that. Better. Which is good. Higher high, higher low, lower high, and most likely higher low, right? That's the most likely trajectory that I see that's going to be happening. Now, 12 hours. We talked about this last time. Ah, crap. I shouldn't have done that. Whatever. We can remove all the drawings. Full screen. I didn't realize I wasn't full screen. Here we go. We're still holding this uptrend, which is good. We do want to pay attention to this because if it does break, it actually changes things. So we want to watch this. This has now become very significant. Now, one of my biggest concerns was the 12-hour time frame making a lower low. But the reason I'm kind of writing that off is we still have a higher low forming on the 24-hour, which is a much more stronger signal. And on that 4-hour, you can see how badly it's been dancing around. Actually, the price is super duper choppy. And I felt, when you look just the indicator, if you're looking just at the indicator, it looks like jungle garble mess. The best way to chart is just look at this. This I could read. So could you. You guys could look at this. If you guys were just looking at this is messy. Like, nobody wants to stare at these squiggly lines. I mean, it's good to look into it, and I'm going to talk about it in a second, but I want to point to you how important it is to just look at the chart. The chart actually tells you everything, actually. You don't need an indicator. Indicator gives you confluence. It gives you, a bit of a heads up, but people, the more messy your chart is, the more you're missing the big picture. You don't need an indicator to tell you what the heck is happening here. And so I'm gonna prove to you what I'm showing you here. So this was one. We're gonna use. We'll use red, yellow. That's one. And if you haven't seen my last week videos, and this is the first video you're watching, we've been talking about this for a long time about it breaking this second setup here. I've been wanting to see that break. So if you go over here, this is very similar to the last reversal. One. And two. Now you can actually notice there's a lot of similarities between these. Come on. You can see it kind of attempted to break above, and it broke back lower. So that's, I want to entertain that as a possibility. How you would know it's going to do that if it would break lower is it would no, notice how it just broke the uptrend line, which is like, it sucks. And it tried making another one here, and then it broke it and retested it. You don't want it to break. This is going to be the signal that it's a fake out. So how do we know it's going to be a fake out? By drawing lines. It's very simple. And so we draw a line here. I already hate my chart getting messy. And I hate that it's so thick. See this little skinny line that I've drew here? If this is a fake out, you'll get something like this, and it'll break back, and it'll give you that one little like pop lower, okay, before it does this. If it's not a fake out, you're literally gonna get that bounce here, boom, and it's not gonna be in a straight line. It'll probably be like more like this, okay. Maybe it isn't gonna be a straight line, but this is everything that I've been talking about. If you've been reading all my tweets, there are 3 things that I wanted to actually have like the perfect entry. And we've gotten all 3, except for the fact that this is really not like a definitive break, similar to this. This was like a gap up. See this huge gap up, gave you a little tiny pullback right above that trend line. It was clear as daylight. This thing was ready to launch here, actually. So I'm not so convinced here, but it's looking good. Looking really, 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 really good here, guys. And I think we're about to, whatever. I deleted all my drawings here. I think it is about to go whoosh. It's ready to go up into that $8 zone. Now, if we can break above that 8, which I think it will, I think it has that potential. That arrow's too big. You're not at 12. And I like that 12 target. And I wasn't really talking about 12, but I believe that's the golden pocket for this entire downtrend. If I were to go like this and measure where that golden pocket sits, sorry, it's at 1182. Kind of close enough, right? Maybe just above that, 12. It can still get up there and then reject that. So from a Fibonacci standpoint of view, it looks good. Now let's look big picture here. I don't want to, sorry, I want to quickly just show you guys the hourly, how it hit all of our conditions. Higher low on that 200-day moving average, really good. First pullback, you can argue that's this, okay? And then the third thing that I was looking for is a break of this trend line, which we got towards like the afternoon. It's broken above. So it's met all of my conditions. Although one thing that I would say is the one condition it has not met yet. If there was a 4th condition, I never talked about a 4th condition, but if there were a 4th condition, it would be this. So here we go. This is number 1. This is our number 1 trend line. That was number 2. The 4th condition is a clear, defined pullback on the actual chart, right? Remember I talked to you, you don't even need this. A break and a pullback that you can actually physically see on that chart. Clear, defined pullback is what you want to see. It's funny. That's what I'm looking for. Is that clear defined pullback? I don't think we did get that yet, which does open the gates to seeing something like this. Notice it got that break here. It broke above, and then it broke under. Let's see, when it broke above, let's look at that velocity for a second here just to get some confluence. You can see it did break above, and then it decided to swing much lower here. I think it looks different, to be honest. It looks really good. Really good. Timing-wise, it looks good. I don't know if I did myself justice, but I think NIO is going to go much, much higher. And I would say that this is actually a pretty decent, if you were looking to get long, again, not financial advice, but odds look really freaking good right down in this level here. And so, which brings me to something new that I want to talk about. So some of you guys have been watching me for a while here. I want to talk about something new. And this is really important to digest and absorb. Okay, really, 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 really important to digest and absorb this, okay? So we have something called, and there's actually it's literally a tool in TradingView. So it's called parallel channels. Where was it? It was, I'm losing my mind. It's right here. Channels, parallel channel. I have that as a favorite. It's actually one of my favorite tools. We're gonna bust out our magnet. Actually, we're gonna redraw this with the magnet tool. It's covering such a long distance. Now we need to zoom out. Get to the top. Whoa, we missed that top. Let's zoom in a bit so I don't miss it. Here we go. There's the top. That is literally that's pixel perfect. I used the magnet tool. I got right on that pixel right here. Boom, boom, boom. And we're going back to 2019. Take a look. Take a look. Now, I want to point out to you this rally we had last year, not last year, I guess it's 2 years ago, in 2023. This is when, I don't like name dropping, but when the long investor was calling for really huge targets. Around that time, it was understandable. It was still within the trading channel. But because it technically broke under, it broke back up, it needed to retest, and it failed the retest. And perhaps some of you guys remember the rally that took place at the end of December 2023. Okay? Which was just approximately was that about a year ago? It's about a year ago. Where it came up, and it came, I guess, to retest that. And then it broke down. And I'm sharing this chart with you because this is the most important thing, okay? The next rally, I believe, is going to work itself right up into this trend line here. But by January 31st, that's like 1165. You want to find confluence? Where's that golden pocket? Okay. I'm not making these numbers up. Golden pocket, 1180. Isn't that freaking crazy? Now, why am I drawing it from here to here? Well, as you guys all know, it broke out of this trend line, right? It broke out. So for it to recover that amount, that would be a normal recovery. You would call it a dead cat pounce, essentially. Now, I think that's very, very, very possible that we can get up there. The question is, what is it going to do afterwards? So if I were to give you a bullish take, perhaps you get a little small pullback, launches up, comes back down for the retest, as it did here as well. After it broke under for a retest, you would get the retest. And if all's good and all's merry and everything's going towards where it needs to go, it opens the floodgates for NIO. 45 every single institute, and this is where people are gonna this is where every institution, everybody's gonna jump the gun and get long. Going long here is risky. It comes with the biggest upside because you're betting on a reversal. But the overall longer term trend, it's below this, and it's coming to retest that trend. And there's a reason why this is super duper important. Yes, and so it likely to meet resistance at 80, but if it does break out, where would it go from there? Want to see where that goes from there? Take a look. If this thing was just to go parabolic, and I can keep just stacking these channels. Okay, this is like the most bullish like outlook I can possibly do. Okay, now mind you, it wouldn't go like this. There'd be a lot more noise, and this might take a lot more time. But like this is the general direction, general path, the bullish outlook. This is the bull thesis. If you're a long-term investor, this is what you want. This is what you want to see. At the very least, you want to see this at least retest the top of that original channel, which is going to be $80. And here's where it's important. And I told you this was really, really important to actually to digest. Oh, we don't need that. So this. The reason why it's important is because if it rejects here, let's say it fights, and instead of breaking up, maybe you get like a double top here. No joke. Similar how you can stack it above, you can stack it below. And as you can see, we're going into bankruptcy. Okay, this is not what I believe is going to happen. But you'd be silly not to entertain that as a possibility. There's no actual support beneath it. Like it would be literally the death of the company for it to not get above it. So you got to get right above there. And that's going to be key. And that's a good thing. So if you're long, if you're sitting long, I think there's going to be a really nice, significant potential rally that's up and coming actually here. And I talked about like how it's correlated to China, but I'd be foolish not to actually tell you that this is a possibility. Anyone who tells you it's a guaranteed investment is I mean, nothing is a guarantee in life, guys. And stocks that go bankrupt are never able to like retain their original trend, and they kind of go bankrupt. Now, I'm going to share with you just a couple other charts to actually share with you why how powerful these parallel channels are. Bitcoin is a perfect example. Perfect. Because just like NIO, how it broke under the trend, it managed to reclaim the channel and obviously come back and retest that all the way from the depths of hell, from 15,000 all the way to coming all the way up to 48,000. That alone was a significant 200% rally. But it breaking above that opened the gates to the top of that channel. And where did Bitcoin reject, you guys? It is now down 15%, which is a pretty sizable drop. And you can take a look at what the price action did the last time it hit the top of the channel. And this is not meant to be a Bitcoin analysis. This is meant to show you the power of using parallel channels. I'll show you a couple more, okay? I'm going to look at Tesla because I know a lot of people like to look at Tesla and compare Tesla here. So I'm drawing. You're going all the way back to 2019, which is funny because I think that's when like right around NIO IPO'd, and I take it right to the top. Notice it's never lost its channel, but also notice. You want anything funny? On a bigger time frame, so there's one. And take a look. Two. I'm laughing here because this is on a bigger time frame. And you got what did you get after it finally gave you a definitive break and a clear retest? You got that massive squeeze right there on Tesla. And of course, it overshot it a bit, but it never closed above the top of the trend line, which was originally created on here. Now, the implications of Tesla breaking above here, by the way, if Tesla were to come back up and retake this channel, boom. Now, let me show you Meta. Here's another chart, Facebook. We all know Facebook, okay? We're going to go back to IPO Meta, June 2012. There's your channel. Okay. 1, 2, and 3. Isn't that funny? It manages to hold when it went down to 90. You can argue that was one, like there was no 1 and 2 essentially. It just freaking went for it. And look at the price action. It doesn't have to reject. It could break above that. There's your pullback. It's coming for the top of that channel. I would not be surprised before we get to the end of this bull rally to see Meta come right up into 700. You could do this for almost every single chart. One of my favorite charts, though, is Microstar. Okay? And I'll explain to you why it's one of my favorite charts. You see this? What are we looking at here? The original 1999 trend line. And where did the price go? Boop. Went right up there and it rejected. Right? The implications of Microstrategy are to get to the top of that channel, which would be $700. Right now it rejected. It did give you a candle close. And I'm not here to do analysis here. I'm just here to give an idea here of where this thing's going. Look where it went, by the way. Right to the bottom of that channel. That's crazy. So going back to NIO, not saying that would ever happen. But for NIO, the implications are so big because even if it were to maintain, let's see, the lowest possible price, let's just say it were to go down to like 30 cents. Like it's there's just no plausible scenario here with this channel. It's literally, in my opinion, from a technical perspective, it has to get above here. So I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just letting you guys know what I see. And this is going to be a defining moment for NIO. What it does on this next rally. Defining moment. And I truthfully believe that it's going to go above because for NIO, I think to do this, you would also need that like Hang Seng to just completely tumble. And as you guys all remember, that we now have a giant break here on that velocity, which suggests that at the very least, it wants to test this. It wants to test 27. I mean, on it, the velocity technically is saying that it big divergence, big gap there. So on this next run, you get a 40% run. It could mean Like it could be absolutely drastic. And you can actually draw a parallel channel actually with the Hang Seng index. I think this works. Look at that. It broke up and it failed, broke up, failed the retest, broke up, failed the retest, broke up. And look at that. It's actually holding above. You know what the implications are of that? 40,000. So if, Hang Seng goes to 40,000, I have a very tough time seeing how any company in China will end up like in this really terrible situation, because Baba is in the same boat. Baba's in the exact same boat. It's actually below this trend line. It actually already gave you that retest. And it needs above for this thing to go. Otherwise, the implications are just, it doesn't make sense. Baba's going to go bankrupt? No, I don't think so. I think what more likely to happen is breaks up, comes back down, holds. You're getting 350 on Baba. If it's comparable, like, it finally reaches, you're going to get 350 on Baba. Baidu's interesting because you can take a look to see Baidu's been around since 2008. Broke, tried retesting right up to the top of that channel, just barely. Broke back down. And you can tell where Baidu's going to come up. If and when it goes, it needs to get above 146. Everything's going to run China, in my opinion. It's all the same chart. And so for Baidu, 300 is potentially a possibility. But it needs this first. Okay, this ended up being a little bit of a longer video than I expected, but I really wanted to just like share with you a lot of different examples as to why this parallel channel is important. So first and foremost, I don't want to end the video with like this because it makes it seem like that's what I think. What I think is actually more likely to happen with NIO is you finally see it get that breakout. I think this is the most likely scenario. And when people stop, once it gets above here, I'm telling you, no one's going to be shitting on NIO. People are going to say, I wish I went long on NIO when it was down at 3 or 4. Actually, let's take a look if I can do that with Savannah's chart. You can do it with Savannah's chart too. Savannah is another one that like went from like nothing to like everything. From nothing to, and you look at the Savannah chart, if it were to reach like the equivalent cycle of that, $400. It sounds ridiculous, but like, how does Savannah keep doing it? It keeps going up. Yeah, there you have it, you guys. And it's still actually holding. Anyways, I'm rambling. I'm talking about things that I shouldn't be talking about. I shouldn't be doing analysis on everything here, but I do like to watch a bunch of these stocks. I like to see how they kind of perform. I wanted to share that with you. I hope you actually walked away watching this video learning something. I hope I inspired you guys to go and open up a TradingView account, which is free, by the way. You can open up a TradingView account and start playing around with parallel channels. By the way, the parallel channels that I draw are on a regular time frame, not logarithmic. And there's the time and place to use both, but for the way I'm drawing them, they're on a regular scale. If you want to practice and try it for yourself. If you have any questions, definitely leave your comments in the, ask the question in the comment sections below. If you're not already following me on Twitter, please do. I drop awesome analysis throughout the week. And geez, Pirate Bay ads. Where do those come from? And yeah, definitely swing by, ask me questions. I'm all about having a conversation. Plenty of people ask me questions, and I try to do my best to engage with everybody. Everybody that wants to come with me and has questions, I'm here to try and respond to everybody if I have time. And the same can be said when it comes to YouTube as well. If you watch the whole video, thank you so much for watching my video. I appreciate that. Hope you guys all have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you guys next week. I'll be tweeting next week to actually see where NIO goes. That's it, and that's all. Cheers.